Urgent! Steelers fan! Look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Pittsburgh Steelers select Iowa DL Yaha Black in 5th round of 2025 NFL Draft. With the 164th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Iowa DLNT Yaha Black, the second defensive lineman the Steelers have drafted. He's a big man likely to play nose tackle for the defense, though the team has also indicated he can play defensive end. Pittsburgh acquired the selection via a trade down with the Kansas City Chiefs, picking up picks number 164 and number 226 in exchange for their 5th rounder, number 156, a 3-star recruit from Marshall, Minnesota, and a 5-year player at Iowa Black. Recorded 117 career tackles for the Hawkeyes. In 2024, he notched 34 tackles, 7 for a loss with 1 sack. In 2023, he set single-season highs with 51 tackles and 5 sacks. At the NFL Combine, he measured in at 60'56", 336 pounds with long 35-inch arms. He ran a 5.38 40-yard dash with a 25, 5-inch vertical and 7.63 three-cone. Black was one of several defensive linemen who came into Pittsburgh for a pre-draft visit and is the 3rd selection of 2025 to be picked from that 30-man list. He joins 1st-rounder DL Derek Harmon and 3rd-rounder RB Caleb Johnson. Our scouting report praised Black for his play strength and ability to take on double teams in the middle. Negatively, his taller height creates issues with his pad level, and he tends to play over his toes, leading to balance issues. Overall, we concluded Yaha Black is the quintessential space eater teams look for on early downs, who possesses the size and bulk to take on and occasionally split double teams as a 2-down plugger. He doesn't bring much pass rush upside to the Yaha table and needs to work on his leverage to fully play to his strengths and warrant meaningful snaps on early downs. Still, his size and length are hard to come by, and further development on his technique could help him go from a raw prospect to a solid pro. We compared him to John Jenkins and gave him a 5th-round grade. Pittsburgh began the draft by selecting Oregon DE Derek Harmon, 21st overall. Now, they add Black in the 5th to play nose tackle. Coupled with the selection of edge Jack Sawyer, the Steelers have beefed up their defensive front to stop the run and get stouter in the trenches. Check out our complete scouting report on Yaha Black below. Pausing this news just to say that. If you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest the black and gold news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Steelers. Aaron Rodgers' TJ Watt contracts take center stage in Pittsburgh after NFL draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers no longer have the NFL draft to think about. Now, it's time to dial in on contracts for Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt. Rodgers would be a free agent signing to be the Steelers' starting quarterback. For whatever reason, the deal hasn't gotten done yet. But now with the Steelers' only QB draft pick being Will Howard late to be a developmental backup, it's clear they need Rodgers. Whether for $10 million or $30 million per year shouldn't even matter. They need each other. Watt is in line for an extension to match up with the 4-year, $160 million deal Myles Garrett signed with the Browns. It might not get done overnight, but it's his turn to break the NFL defensive player contract record. If you were a betting man, you'd say both of these contracts will get done eventually. Pittsburgh should try to get them done sooner rather than later. It's easy for deals like these to hang over a team's heads when training camp and the preseason get underway. It's much nicer to have contracts signed and keep everyone happy. If the Steelers can do that, adding Rodgers to a talented bunch, they can be legitimate contenders in the AFC North. The clock is ticking. Art Rooney II needs to open his wallet and give his team the best chance at being successful. Will Howard was hoping Steelers would draft him after meetings with Mike Tomlin. The Pittsburgh Steelers waited about as long as possible to address their quarterback situation during the draft. They eventually did in the 6th round, taking Will Howard out of Ohio State. There were a few quarterbacks who made sense for Pittsburgh later on day 3, but they had started to come off the board quicker during the 5th and 6th rounds. The Steelers knew they had to get a QB soon. They grabbed Howard, and according to him, the pick made a lot of sense. Howard spoke to the media shortly after being drafted. According to a team-provided transcript, he says he hoped he'd end up in Pittsburgh. And it just made a lot of sense from the moment I met Coach Tomlin, Howard said. I was like, man, this is a guy I could play for. I was honestly hoping the Steelers would take me, just because I felt like it would be a great situation. I loved everybody in the organization, and I'm so blessed. Howard has had a lot of things to be happy about recently. Not only did he just get drafted to Pittsburgh, but he's also coming off a national championship win this past season with Ohio State. The 2024 season wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Howard, though. He had a pretty brutal moment during the middle of the season when he accidentally ran out the clock in Ohio State's loss to Oregon by just 1 point. However, he rallied quite well throughout the rest of the season. After that loss, the entire Buckeyes team went on an impressive run. They didn't lose another game the rest of the year and went on an insane run in the college football playoff. That included a drubbing of Oregon, in which Howard performed excellently against the Ducks, who were number 1 in the nation at the time. The Steelers are hoping that winning pedigree with Howard transfers over to his time in Pittsburgh. For what it's worth, the Steelers clearly valued him more than Shedeur Sanders, who many previously thought could have been Pittsburgh's choice in the first round. Instead, they passed on Sanders multiple times. Then, they pivoted to Howard once some of the other QBs started to go off the board. Omar Khan is on the record in wanting to go into training camp with 4 quarterbacks. Howard is the 3rd joining. Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. At this point, based on their continued pursuit of Aaron Rodgers, you'd have to expect Rodgers to be the 4th and final one if he does sign. It's also nice to hear that Howard is so excited to come to Pittsburgh. He mentions his good feelings with everyone in the organization. It sounds like those feelings were mutual, with the Steelers taking him off the board. Pittsburgh Steelers select Ohio State edge Jack Sawyer. In 4th round of 2025 NFL Draft, with the 123rd selection of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Ohio State edge rusher Jack Sawyer. Pittsburgh adds pass rush depth behind T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig. With a long list of athletic bloodlines, Sawyer recorded 144 tackles, 29, for a loss with 23 sacks throughout his Buckeyes career. Measuring in at 6'42", 260 pounds with 31 34-inch arms, Sawyer racked up 9 tackles for a loss and 9 sacks last season for Ohio State. Our scouting report praised his power and ability to make plays in the game's biggest moments, including during the Buckeyes' national title run in 2024. We concluded Jack Sawyer is a very talented player and has been since high school, which is what warranted him a 5-star rating. Although he hasn't exactly lived up to those lofty expectations associated with that rating, even though he has gotten better every year at Ohio State, he still is considerably raw going into the NFL draft when looking at his 23-year-old age. He has solid power and is disciplined in the run game, but hardly offers anything as a finesse rusher, which limits his ceiling. He has the floor due to frame and athleticism, but needs to expand his game more than that to thrive in the NFL and potentially be a full-time starter. We gave him a 3rd-round grade, creating strong value as a 4th-round selection. Sawyer's most memorable play came on this fumble return touchdown against Texas last season in the college football playoffs, sealing the Buckeyes' victory. Speaking about the pick, DC Terrell Austin confirmed that the Steelers had a formal meeting with Sawyer at the NFL Combine. Mike Tomlin and Austin attended his pro day, and the team had a dinner with Sawyer, though Austin said he didn't personally attend it. A top high school recruit, Sawyer has some of the strongest athletic bloodlines in the NFL draft. His grandfather was a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates minor league system. His father and mother also played high school and college sports. Check out our full scouting report on Jack Sawyer below. Pittsburgh Steelers Inc. small school star offensive lineman. The Pittsburgh Steelers have signed versatile offensive lineman Aiden Williams, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. Williams played at the University of Minnesota Duluth, a Division II school. Williams played basketball in high school and was more of a tight end than a tackle at that point. He grew into his body, standing 6'5", 315 pounds. Williams had a 5'17" 40-yard dash with a 1'75" 10-yard split at his pro day. Williams benched 27 reps and had a 30-inch vertical and an 8-foot 10-inch broad jump. He can play guard or tackle, and has played on both sides of the offensive line during his time at Minnesota Duluth. This is the first offensive lineman the Steelers have signed as an undrafted free agent. They did not draft an offensive lineman. After drafting 3 of those players in 2024, all of those coming within the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft. Williams will battle Dylan Cook, Calvin Anderson, and others for time on the roster. He will be trying to win a spot as a swingman at tackle and on the interior. The Steelers have signed wide receiver Rock Taylor and Iowa defensive back Sebastian Castro in addition to Williams. Paul Feinbaum reveals why the Pittsburgh Steelers passed on Shedeur Sanders. The first 3 rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft have come and gone, and Colorado Buffalo's star quarterback Shedeur Sanders is still waiting to hear his name called. Sanders spent 2 seasons at Jackson State under the coaching of his father, Deion Sanders. After Deion left Jackson State to become the head coach at Colorado, Shedeur followed him and served as the starting quarterback for 2 additional seasons. During those 2 years, Sanders excelled. He passed for 7,264 yards through 64 touchdowns and recorded just 13 interceptions, completing an FBS record 71.8 of his passes. His outstanding performance earned him the title of Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in 2024. Most mock drafts projected Sanders to be a first-round pick, with the Pittsburgh Steelers frequently seen as a likely destination. However, the Steelers opted for Oregon Ducks defensive tackle Derek Harmon in the first round. Then they chose Iowa Hawkeyes running back Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round, passing on Sanders both times. On his show, The Paul Feinbaum Show, ESPN's Paul Feinbaum explained why he believes the Steelers continue to pass on the NFL legacy. To me, Pittsburgh is the most sacrosanct franchise in the NFL in terms of still adhering to the principles of yesterday, Feinbaum said. You know what I'm talking about. It's just the local ownership. Aaron Rodgers would have never fit in with that organization. Neither would Shedeur Sanders. Pro Football Focus predicts that Sanders' wait in the NFL draft won't last much longer. They anticipate the Las Vegas Raiders will select him with the 6th pick in the 4th round. This offseason, the Raiders traded for Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith, who is on a 2-year deal. Smith has thrown for over 4,000 yards in 2 of his last 3 seasons. The reason for Sanders' draft slide is unclear. PFF noted Sanders may be below average in stature and arm talent compared to NFL quarterbacks, but he plays the game cleanly, takes care of the football, and is tough as nails with ice in his veins under pressure. There have also been reports that Sanders may have made a negative impression on some teams during his pre-draft meetings. Day 3 of the 2025 NFL Draft begins on Saturday at noon ET on ESPN and the NFL Network. Steelers' pre-draft love for receivers proved to be the ultimate bluff, no new targets for whoever plays QB in the draft this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers came into the 2025 NFL Draft with massive holes to fill. They managed to fill 2 of their biggest with their top 2 selections, adding Oregon defensive lineman Derek Harmon and Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. Both were considered value picks at 21 and 83 respectively, and they should be immediate contributors for a team with playoff expectations in 2025. With only day 3 picks left to fill needs, however, there was bound to be a position left untouched by the time the 2025 draft was complete. That being said, it was a surprise to see Omar Khan choose not to address the wide receiver position after so much effort was put into scouting it. Pittsburgh Steelers ignore receiver in 2025 NFL Draft despite significant pre-draft interest on the surface. It shouldn't be that shocking to see the Steelers neglect receiver in the draft this season. They already used their 2nd-round pick on DK Metcalf, so you can view that as essentially a receiver pick. Still, Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin showed significant interest in some of the top receivers in the draft. Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, and Savion Williams all received pre-draft visits. They were at the pro day of Emeka Egbuka as well. Egbuka was already gone by their pick in the 1st round, but Golden was still available. Choosing Derek Harmon over him was a clear sign that they feel the trenches are more important, and that strategy was only made more clear with the selections of Jack Sawyer and Yaha Black on day 3. With trade rumors surrounding George Pickens throughout the last few days as well, taking a receiver high would have sent a message that he could be had for the right price. Now, with no added reinforcements to the room, Pickens seems likely to remain a Steeler, for now at least. Overall, I think it was smart to leave the receiving room as it was, with no answer at quarterback yet as they wait for Aaron Rodgers to make up his mind. Adding more weapons in the passing game could be overkill. Beefing up the trenches and the running game was the smart way to help the roster. And now, Steelers fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for the black and gold. I'll be back any moment with more Steeler Nation news. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.